Hi, this is Sarah Popejoy with Tuesdays with Sarah. So today we're going to be talking about a lot of marketing tips and just kind of ways that you can kind of expand your business as a musician. Because I know that sometimes that's a dirty word with us musicians, is because we would just like to focus on our art all day. I know it's the way that I feel a lot of the time. But I'm just going to kind of go in depth in explaining some things within the music industry and just how you can take these ideas and these concepts and practically use them into the strategies that you're using now. So let's start out with, recently I wrote, I'd like to talk a little bit and expand about some of the articles that I've done, just to kind of go further into depth. And just also sometimes I think hearing those things, I know sometimes like when I read books and stuff on, you know, whatever it may be, when I'm learning something, I sometimes being able to hear it audibly and being able to read it is two different experiences. And everybody has their favorite experiences. Some people love to read, and some people just really, you know, could really do without it and would rather just listen to something. So. And the concept also of these Tuesdays with Sarah is just to, I want to be able to give you something weekly where I reach out to you, so that's not just as much as I enjoy the blogging and as much as I enjoy writing, I just enjoy connecting with you as well. So this is just another way to do that. So today, recently, I wrote an article here a couple days ago about being able to about how kind of like systems work. And when I say systems, I'm comparing with how the music industry was, you know, how it had to be even 10 years ago or more versus what it is like today. Because it's not just the internet. Yes, the internet provides all these tools, but I think a lot of the growth and expansion of everything being able to kind of fully develop, and you know, of course, everything is always growing and so forth, is because of social media over the last, you know, how many ever years. But like, you know, even with when MySpace came out, I don't even count that because we really didn't know what it was. It was kind of like this new platform, you know, within the internet. And you know, to some of you youngsters out there, you may be like, when was there ever not social media? But but I'm just I want to kind of preface this because I'm going to kind of show you the comparisons and why you need to kind of think outside the box today. And also I also want to tell you that this before I forget to mention it, this Friday we are actually, I'm going to be sending you, if you're not already signed up on the email list, which you probably are if you're watching this, but if you're not, go to rockstarmarketing.biz and get on the email list so that you can see this interview with Shannon Curtis, because I'll be sending it out on Friday. And what was really great about this interview is, I don't know if you've heard of her or not, but she made in 2 months $25,000 just off house concerts alone. And so that's kind of our goal here too, is just to, I don't want to just give you strategies that like that are just like theoretical and just they sound good and just because I want to talk a lot. I'm a musician myself, and although, you know, I haven't been out touring for the last, you know, 5 years or whatever, I know what it's like. I know the struggles. I know how much money you spend. I know, you know, I know what it's like. What's like, you know, an asshole for at the bar who, you know, who wanted you to play there but then treat you like crap afterwards, or not getting paid the right amount of money. I know all those things that you go through, you know, specifically because I've been there. And so anyways, and I'm saying that because like the whole reason why I'm really excited about this interview with Shannon Curtis that is on Friday is because it's an example of something that like is actually doable, that someone who, she actually did this. She is a musician, she's a songwriter, she, you know, she puts out albums like a lot of you put out albums, or wanting to put out albums. And she actually on the, you know, lives on the West Coast and had a tour of house concerts and was able to generate $25,000 doing it. She talks a little more in depth on there, and then I also have a link to her book. Her ebook is only like $4.99, so it's really cheap and very, you know, for the information. I would encourage you getting it. So, anyways, so check that out on Friday to hear her talk about her $25,000 gig, $25,000, how she made it in 2 months on house concerts. And you know, everybody's results are going to, you know, vary or whatever, but the thing is, what's really interesting about her is she doesn't just, you know, oh, I'm bragging about how I did this or that. She actually goes into that, the step-by-steps, and also what's more important than the step-by-steps, to be honest with you, is the principles and the theories behind those steps. Because to me, when you can understand the theories of why something works, you can use it in other facets of your marketing. You know, it's just like understanding music theory. There's understanding the way that marketing and sales works. So she's got a lot of really great ideas, and that'll be this Friday. So anyways, getting back to what we're talking about, the about systems and how systems were, you know, 10, 15 years ago versus how systems have, you know, eventually developed into now. And of course, they're always still developing and molding and growing. But and how you can take those concepts and use them as a musician. You know, I see a lot of, like, you know, I get on the internet a lot, and sometimes I'll be posting stuff on Facebook that I see, and so I see a lot of articles, and I see a lot of stuff sometimes, you know, reflecting negatively on the industry, but and it's no doubt that things are evolving, changing, and growing, and but I will be honest with you that is the way that the industry has always been. And I'm not going to go into detail with that now because that's just kind of for another day. But so what I want to encourage you is to don't read those articles. Don't focus on those negative articles, because honestly, they're not going to do you any good. What you need to focus on, well, let me put it this way. What's most healthy to focus on is to focus on what is possible and how you can actually, you know, take your marketing and your music to the next level. You know, reading about how, oh, the industry is this or the industry is that, and I'm not even going to repeat it because I don't want to put it in your mind. I want your mind to be dwelling on it and thinking of it. And that's why we're called Musicians Empowered, because it does not empower you at all to be, and we're not ignoring things, but focusing on, you know, negative aspects of the industry does not empower you in any way. Focusing on how you can actually take your art and, you know, get it in front of viewers and to make me doing it, that is empowering. You know, that empowers you. So that is our goal here, Musicians Empowered. And so anyway, so talking about systems again. When I lived in Nashville, and I lived there from 99 to 2008. And when I was living there, one thing, I learned a lot about the industry and about music business. I had some friends who were actually in the music business and publicity and stuff like that. And so I learned quite a bit about doing publicity and stuff. So I also learned about the different working parts within an actual major label record company. And some of you may already know this. You know, if you're like totally into the, you know, studying music business and stuff like that, you probably, this is not news to you. But I'm just going to go over it real quick to to use it as a shadow and type for what's coming next. Okay, so if a major label, whenever first of all, they're going to try and figure out who's going to sell and who's not going to sell. And they're going to have, they may have 30, and I don't know what the exact number is here, but I'm just giving you examples. So they may have like 30 artists on their label at a given time. Of course, nowadays it's probably less than that, say 15 or less. But they may have only a couple that they really push, that they really put their money behind. Because coming from the radio companies, without getting all, like I said, we're going to stay away from any negatives here. They want to make money. And the way that they make money is putting the most money on what they think is the sure bet. And so they'll do some things like, maybe start off with a little radio tour. And then they'll put their money behind who looks like they're most likely to really take off. And so they'll start off, they'll have somebody doing, and then when they put their money behind them, they'll have all these systems in place. And and those systems will include, it'll include distribution, which we're very lucky because nowadays that is readily available to any musician, which wasn't 10 years ago. So they'll plug them into their distribution sources. That means, they'll get them into all the stores, so on and so forth, okay? Whatever their distribution sources may be. Then they'll make sure they do the radio tour, because that's one of the first things, they got to do to get their music out there. And then that's kind of also a testing ground, see how they do. Let's see what else. They'll make sure that they have a really good publicist, and that may be through making sure they have a really good manager who makes sure all those things get done. But needless to say, these are all systems that are already plugged in to the record companies. And they'll make sure that, and I have some more listed here, but the point is that they get them plugged in so that when their music is ready to be released, when they're ready to tour, that they already have everything set up. And not only do, the record companies don't even, quote unquote, handle this for the most part. The record companies do not handle distribution. The record companies have a distribution source. Now, there may be some companies now, and it depends on how, because things are continually changing, that they may have a separate company within their record company that is actually distribution. But for the most part, they have these outlets and outsources of people who already have these systems in place and are able to make these things happen. So basically, what I'm trying to convey and show you is, as an indie, and you go out there and you're trying to get publicity, and you're trying to say go from town to town, getting publicity, getting the distribution's easy nowadays, like I talked about, but going out there and getting the gigs, all these things and all these working parts that you're having to do, major label musicians already have set up for them. And so you're trying to do the work of not just you're not just a few people, but of a few companies. And so it can be very frustrating, because when you try to compare yourself to that, it's not fair, because you don't have the manpower, you don't have the hours, you don't have, and then not only that, most indie musicians, you also have a job that or either a part-time job or a full-time job, and you're trying to do the work of several companies. Okay, so fast forward to today. Now, major labels are still doing that, of course, right? But the reason why there's such a huge opportunity with the internet And I'm not just saying this to, because people have been spieling this out for a long time. So, I just want to show you what is available today. Okay, so all of that also, forget about the fact that you have all these companies working. It is extremely labor intensive. It is extremely time intensive. It is extremely costly. But nowadays, what we have with the internet, being online, is we have this other world that we didn't have before. And so there's several working parts, moving parts, just like with the traditional model of selling offline. So online, you've got your social media sites, which musicians already know about. You've got your capturing leads, which could be anywhere from emails to phone numbers to you name it. But on the internet, because of the medium that it is, usually it's emails. And then you've also got blogging. Blogging is another way, because every time you have a blog article, unlike a website that just reaches to, say, one person, not one person, it just reaches out to one keyword. For instance, like if I'm sarahpopejoy.com, then it's just going to look for sarahpopejoy.com, and I'm not going to be anywhere else pretty much. But if I've got a blog, because each blog page, each blog article is like a different website. So when you're looking up something like, say I had an article that was about folk music, for instance, and I was able to get it ranked. Well, when people go on the search engine sites and they look for folk music, they could find me. And that's a very general topic, but you can get more specific. But the point is that that's another moving part. So you got your social media, you got your capturing leads, emails, and then you've got blogs, which they were around but weren't really utilized like they are today. And then you got your email marketing system. And so email marketing system is just basically, and a lot of us musicians may have some form of email marketing system, but we don't really know how to use it. And not all systems are alike, because there are certain elements you need within an email marketing system. Like you need to be able to know how many people opened my email, how many people clicked on my link, because if you're just sending out bad emails all the time, you're not going to know any better. But if something's really working, you may not know that it worked as well as something else. So all these different parts are now what make up a lot of our online world. And then, of course, distribution. So distribution is very easy for us musicians nowadays. All we got to do is sign up with either TuneCore, iTunes, Reverb Nation, and a host of others if we wanted. We just got to sign up with one of them, and we can have our music all over the internet. And it can be signed up on iTunes. We don't even have to go through that rigmarole. We're able to really distribute in a massive way. But distribution, never confuse distribution with actually sales and marketing. You know this if you've put out an album and been around a little while. You don't know this if you've never put out any music. Because a lot of times you'll think, oh, I'm just going to put out my album, everybody's going to love it, everybody's going to buy it. But distribution does not equal your sales and your marketing. So anyway, but it's all part of this whole funnel of these things. And there's certain orders and ways that you put these things together. Like, for instance, just like we were talking about earlier when we were talking about the different working parts of the way record companies were doing things. You wouldn't go on tour and then do a radio tour. There's a certain order of things that you do. Just the same way, you wouldn't send out well, you continually send out emails, but you wouldn't have, like, there's certain order of things that you got to do things to make it the most effective. So that's just kind of a breakdown of things. And in if you receive my emails, then you've more than likely received the 8-day boot camp, and you may or may not have gone through that. But in that email, I talk very purposefully and a lot about how a sales funnel works. And not only that, is I go over those things step by step, and how each and every one works with each other. Because if you can be capturing emails, and you say, here's your social media. Social media is great. A lot of artists use social media, but we don't know how to use social media. Social media is a very specific modality, and it's great for collecting fans of, like, having a place where all your fans can go in addition to your blog. And it's also a great place for people to spread the word about what you're writing about with your blog, because honestly, social media loves blogs. They're not so crazy about websites, but they love blogs. Okay, and then there's it's also a great place to capture emails. But like I said, it's a bunch of working parts that need to be put into specific places. And so all that to say, that's why I continue to talk about, or maybe you've seen an offer of mine that I've sent out, or a link where it talks about the viral blogging system, or Kalatu, which Kalatu is actually the blog, part of the viral blogging system. When you understand how to put these working parts together, then you can capture emails, you can grow a fan base, and you can sell your music online. So I also want to talk about, like, why this is so important, because this is the new way of doing business online. You may or may not see it happening or understand it happening, but I dare you to go to Facebook and scroll down and see how many links there are. Go to those links, and a majority of those links are going to be to a blog article. And why is that? It's because blogging is exploding nowadays, because people love information, and they love targeted information. So when you can give that to them, when you can tell them, hey, this is what I do, this is what I'm passionate about, this is who I am, and you can do that through, putting out articles. And when I say articles, I'm not talking about, like, back when you were in high school. They can be, like, extremely laid back. They can be extremely conversational. In fact, they should be conversational, because you don't want to come across as boring. I mean, you're an entertainer, and you're not boring. You're totally cool. The whole idea is not to just write about, oh, well, I'm going to write a research article. That's not it. Now, if you've gone to my blog, of course, I write a lot about music marketing, but I do this because, I'll be honest, and it may make me a little bit of a dork, is I love marketing. And more than that, I love helping other musicians to market. Like, that's just cool to me, okay? Because I know what it's like. So to me, that's what I'm passionate about. That's a lot of fun. You may be passionate about travel. You may be passionate about, whatever. You may be passionate about food, or maybe you're a vegan, or maybe this or that. There's something that you're passionate about, or maybe it's just music. Maybe it's a certain style of music. And it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't have to be informational. It can be conversational. It can just be about you. The whole idea and the whole point is that you're getting people to know you better, and to get, to keep coming back to your articles, to have a reason to send out emails other than buy my album, buy my album, buy my album. the whole idea is that you develop that relationship, you nurture that relationship, and that through that, they get to know you better, they get to love you better, and then guess what? What's really amazing about this is you've got to view this too as like a long-term thing and not a short-term thing. Because if you're just looking for a way to make a quick buck, okay, yeah, this is not it. This is not for you. But if you're looking to actually grow your online presence, you know, and to actually create a fan base that stays with you and sticks around for years and years, then yes, this is for you. Because it's about growing and nurturing that relationship, like I said before. You know, here's the beautiful part of it. Okay, so I'm just going to paint a picture for you a little bit. So let's say you've been blogging for a while, and you've had some sales, and you know, and you've been doing this blogging, and you've got people from, you know, one of my best months here just recently was I had about 6,000 people visit the site. And that's pretty good. I'm not saying that to brag on myself. I'm saying it to tell you what is possible for you. If you can get people signing up to your email list and you're already telling them all, you know, talking to them all the time about what you're, you know, sending them a link to your blog, and, you know, and they're excited about getting it, and they already know you, they already like you, they already trust you, then imagine when all of a sudden you're like, hey, I'm on tour, I'm coming to your city. So how much more likely is that person to go, and if you ask them to spread the word, to actually spread the word, versus someone who just happens to live in that town and you send out a Facebook ad to everybody saying in that area saying that you're playing there, who doesn't know you from Adam. You know, that person who's really kind of developed a relationship and really grown to know you and like you, they're the ones who are going to come out to your shows. And what's so awesome too with this is, like, okay, so I'm just going to give you a little bit of what do you say? I guess a little bit of teaching here. Okay, so let's say you're in Texas, okay? And this is just, you can use this for any region or whatever. But let's say you're in Texas and you live in Waco. But you really want to start touring, and you want to definitely hit the Austin scene, and you definitely want to hit San Antonio, but you also want to hit Dallas and Houston and Amarillo and those major cities. So, and Fort Worth, of course. So in doing this, what you could do, hypothetically, and let's say, I'm just going to use some examples, and this is just going to show you how useful the whole, like, being able to create an online sales funnel can be for you. And which, by the way, click the button below. That's where you can get this online sales funnel as well. I forgot to mention that. So, okay. So let's say you're a country musician, okay, and that's your genre. And so, and you want to play in all these cities. Well, a few months out, before you ever perform at those cities, you could go to Facebook, do cheap $5 ads, okay, that are targeted not to everybody, but that's a cool thing too with Facebook ads, is you can make it extremely targeted. You could target people in and around with a certain certain miles of those cities. Now I'm talking, you know, a few months out before you ever decide to tour or whatever, and not necessarily say, hey, come, I'm going to be playing there, I'm going to be playing there, but you target, like, let's say I put together a $5 Facebook ad, and I do it for people who absolutely love, let's say I sound like Reba McEntire. I'm just making stuff up, okay? So I sound like Reba McEntire, and I know that later this year I'm going to want to play in Dallas, so I want to start building up my fan base there. So I develop a $5 series of $5 ads, you know, over the course of the next few months to Dallas, that people see who like Reba McEntire, and who who love her, who live in the Dallas area. Then I go and before I put out this ad, of course, I go and I record a couple cover songs of some of the most, famous Reba McEntire songs, okay? And so I make a couple of these covers, and I do Reba McEntire songs. I put up the video. I send out the $5 ads. They go to people who already love Reba McEntire, so they're going to already know the song. They're going to be, really enjoy what I'm doing. But instead of sending them to, and then I have a link there. With the link, instead of sending them, say, to a website or something like that, then I send them to a capture page. In the capture page, the lead capture page is where I capture an email. And so with this email, then all these people who love Reba McEntire, who signed up on my email list, then I end up shooting them emails. And I end up shooting them emails, inviting them to come back to my blog, where I've recorded a few more Reba McEntire songs, or maybe I just talk about country music or something that they would like, okay? So I somehow work that in. Well, next thing you know, you've got a whole bunch of people over in Dallas who like your style of music, who like you, who are now on your email list, who you're targeting, who have been going to your blog, and since they've been going to your blog, they've been reading your blog, or they've been listening to whatever you've been putting up there, they feel like they know you. And since they feel like they know you, then when you all of a sudden announce to them, hey, guess what? I'm going to be in the Dallas area. Isn't that cool? Come out. And if, for some reason you can't make it, please tell everyone you know, just so that, because I want to have as many people out there as possible, or whatever. You now have a loyal fan base, and you're going to have way more people out there than you ever would. Let me tell you what I used to do traditionally, and why this is so beautiful, this whole blogging thing, and why I'm such an advocate of it, okay? See, back in the day when I was touring, and you didn't have all this stuff going on, I'm talking about like 2003, 2002, and so I go up to the Northeast, and guess what? I have studied my butt off when it comes to publicity. I go play in this one town. It was Syracuse, New York, okay? I play in Syracuse, New York. I got press in both entertainment papers. I have 2 entertainment papers. I got press. I got my picture in both entertainment papers. I got a radio interview, and there was somewhere else that I got press. I can't remember. So anyways, needless to say, my little mug was everywhere. Do you know that, and it was at a place that was it was called Happy Grounds back in the day, which probably nobody's ever heard of unless you were folky back in the day. So it was a pretty good gig that I was going to be playing. So anyways, so I get there, and there's like a handful of people show up. So I've done all this work, doing all this publicity, and only a handful of people show up, which sucked, because I'm like, okay, what else could I have done? Except for maybe, I guess, maybe I should have opened for people at that time. But the point is, nowadays, with this whole blogging process that I just kind of outlined for you, and that, that's a real, I hope that you write that down or take that with you, because that's a lot right there. So, with this whole process, you can actually develop those relationships before you ever get to a city, and that's amazing, and that's why there's so much opportunity here. So I encourage you that if you do not already have the viral blogging system, to click the link below, just watch the video. There's a video called Truth or Hype, and it actually walks you through, it tells you about Justin Beringia's story, which I've met Justin Beringia. He and Dee are really awesome, cool people. They're really amazing. Sorry about that. Anyways, and then once it walks you through that, and kind of tells you their story, which is a really amazing story. Then it'll kind of there'll be kind of like this interview type thing, where you'll see this guy with this really crazy looking long beard, and I've met Mars before. He's like a teddy bear, and but it's just what's cool about the video, if nothing else, at least watch the video, because it really kind of outlines everything about what the viral blogging system is about. And what I didn't even mention before too is that you can also, when you're an affiliate as well, is you can also actually you know, set up links and make a commission off it if somebody buys it yourself. So I hope that this was a very I hope this helped you a lot in your marketing, and I hope that you learned a lot. That's my goal with these Tuesdays with Sarah, is to teach you as much about music marketing as possible. And I hope you have a wonderful, blessed day, and I'll see you later. Oh, and before I forget, this Saturday, we have, every Saturday, we have at 11 a.m., we have something that's called social circles. And I call it social circles because it's when I get on and I give a little bit more of an in-depth teaching, kind of like the whole little Reba McEntire thing that I was talking about, except a little more specific on exactly the nuts and bolts of how to do it. And so I do that on Tuesdays, and it's reserved for the people who actually have the system, because they, not just because I'm being mean, it is an incentive, of course, but on top of that, it's also because, you know, you need these tools and these working parts for me to actually explain it to you. If I try to explain it to you, you may not know what I'm talking about. And our goal is to actually develop this community. You know, social circles eventually is going to not just be me talking every Saturday. It's going to be all of us from all different areas and walks of life putting in our input, you know, and our knowledge base, because I may know, you know, some things, but, you know, like, just like these books, everybody has their own story. Everybody has their own walk of life and something that they can add that I could never add in a million years. So click the button below before Saturday, and you'll get an invite from me. So to social circles, I would absolutely love to have you there and get on this system. You can start for relatively, you know, the cost of a Happy Meal. So have a wonderful, blessed day, and I'll see you later. Bye.